Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for today, obviously, because we will be not only announcing, but actually choosing the winner. We're going to do it live here with you today for trivia that we've been doing for the past month. It's crazy to think that it's been 28 days since that started. So big day, big day. Yeah, we've got a couple other things we want to chat with you guys about, and then of course throw any questions you have in the YouTube live chat. If you're in Terravilla North in the theater with us hanging out there's a small energy booster, and you could stream right from there if you click on the right microphone that my Pixel Beast right now is standing in front of. It's way too small for the mic, but it's fine. It's fine. All right. And yeah, keep it farmer friendly, of course. And we can bring up Luke.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Super excited to be here today. Yeah, we have some updates on everything that's going on in the space. We have a few things that we can kind of, fill you in on. But yeah, I'm feeling a lot better personally than I was last week about where the state of the space is and all that. So we can kind of fill you in on, how we view the space, how we're moving forward when it comes to, recent changes in the space and recent news that we've seen in the space and our game plan around a lot of that. There's a lot of things we probably can't fill you in on, given, we have to be pretty careful about how we approach the next month or so, given recent developments in the space. But we're pretty excited and optimistic. And just like I'm personally in a much more calm, cool, collected space than I was last week when we're thinking about the future of what it means for the Pixel token, what it means for our next stages of development. So we can dig into all of that as well too. But yeah, super excited to be here with all of you today. Energy levels are pretty good on the side of the team, and we'll kind of dig into what we just released, what you can expect over the next month, and dive into any questions too. And again, there might be some things we can't answer with all the recent developments, but we'll do our best. Again, our team's goal is to be as transparent as possible and to just like kind of build with all of you as well. So again, we're pretty excited. Optimism's there, and we're pretty confident in the next stages of our roadmap plans and release cycles. There are still some things that are out of our control, but things should be okay. So we're excited.
Yeah. All right. I personally hate when people are like, oh, we're going to announce something, and then they wait until like the last minute to announce it. So I kind of feel like we should just dive right into trivia right now. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So for people who maybe haven't been following, do you want to explain to people?
Absolutely. So I just pulled up this question here. How is the winner chosen for trivia? Is it the first person to answer correctly? Okay. So let's just quickly recap trivia. So the last 28 days, every single day, 9 a.m. Pacific, we would switch over a Pixels related question that you could answer right in Terravilla Central, very close to the pet shop. And every day there was a winner, and every week there was a winner. And at the end of it, which is today, there is a winner. So the prizes changed. The daily prize for just entering and getting it right and being the random person selected as the winner was getting 10,000 berry, except for the last final week, we upped it to 100,000 berry if you updated your Twitter profile with a Pixels overlay, which is a really fun thing we did. Hop in Discord and ask some questions about that if you want to learn more. Every week, one user was selected from the users that answered every single question correctly for that week. So 7 questions, and they were right. And then there was a group of people, obviously, that were right. And then a random picker chose the winner for that. And they received an apiary. Now, today, we're giving away an NFT land with an apiary on it to someone that answered every single day, 28 days, and they got every single question right. Now, my hopes for this were low. I thought, damn, there's going to be maybe one person, maybe 2, maybe not even anyone. Maybe we're going to have to look at people who missed a day or got one question wrong and then choose from that group of people. I was proven very wrong. Luke, I'm going to put you on the spot here. How many people do you think qualify to be put in the pool of winners to win the NFT land today?
I don't know. I've seen our community grind for so many times where I actually have a ton of, I bet hundreds, honestly.
Okay, no, not hundreds.
Okay.
But there are 44 players that answered every single day and got every single question correct. My mind was blown when I learned that number. I could not believe it. I'm not kidding. I seriously thought there was going to be like 1, maybe 2, maybe. So how many have 100% answers? 44 users, 44. So incredible. So what I'm going to do is we have a list of all 44 users, all of their usernames. I've found a random picker on Google, and I'm going to share my screen with you all, and we're going to find out who the winner is. Oh my God, I'm nervous. Okay. All right, let's do it.
And yeah, there were thousands of you that started doing the trivia too, which is pretty crazy. So congrats to you, 44.
Right. Here are all 44. They're all in here. You can see them here. Okay. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. Okay. Bino. Oh my gosh. Bino, congratulations. You have won a Pixels NFT land with an apiary on it. So we'll get that sent over to your wallet, I would say, in the next several days. Congratulations. So excited for you. Oh my gosh. All right.
Nice. I was hoping, oh, they're not in game right now. It doesn't look like. Congrats.
No, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Trivia. That's a wrap on trivia. So we would love to hear your feedback on this. Obviously, we were listening to the feedback we got throughout. Some people saying questions aren't hard enough. Some people saying questions are too hard, which was the point. We wanted a good mix, right? And then some users complaining rewards aren't high enough. Some are saying, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing! I can participate in something without grinding, like the burger tastemakers event, which is kind of what we wanted, right?" So it's like a balance of all things. But as always, please, if you have any more feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Doing small events like this for us is just like a fun, the point of this event is just for like fun community building, something that gets you excited to come sign in every day and hang out for a bit and, participate and have an opportunity to obviously win something without doing crazy amount of cooking, let's say. So yeah, congratulations, Bino.
Congrats.
I have like confetti. Like I could just be like, yeah, like throw it everywhere. All right. Okay. I'm like riding a high right now. All right. So another community thing I wanted to talk about. So summer solstice is coming up June 21st. I think that is in like a week. Oh, a week exactly. That's really fun. It's going to be on an AMA day. Okay, so summer solstice, which for those of you that don't know, it's the longest day of the year, and the longest day of the year means that
For North Americans, or Northern Hemisphere.
Okay, well, I'm talking about Canada. So in Canada, summer solstice, the longest day of the year, which is a big deal for people up north. Okay, our day lasts a very long time. Sun sets at like 10 p.m. It's crazy. But anyways, that means that the sun is out for a long time. And of course, sun is what supplies the world with energy. And so we thought, what a great opportunity to do something energy related in the community. But what would that be exactly? So what we decided on is we want to empower our community members, our guilds, our integrated collections that are often throwing events to throw an event over the next 2 weeks. So from basically tomorrow until the end of the month, the end of June, if you and your community put together a fun event, we will provide an energy booster for 1 hour throughout that event. So I'm really hoping to see some of you guys come out, our guilds, our integrated collections. We got Rats, we've got Tiff, we've got the Dizzy Dragons, like all you guys that are constantly throwing these fun events. Like, let's do it together. Let's have some fun. Let's energy boost over the next 2 weeks to celebrate Northern Hemisphere's summer solstice. So there will be a form which I will whip up quickly after this live, and we'll post it on Discord. And yeah, pay attention. There's going to be tons of energy events over the next 2 weeks, so it's going to be really fun. It's going to be fun. All right, that's kind of what I've got for on the community side. Oh, I'm totally lying to you. We've got the mayor. Okay, so nominations closed yesterday. So what we do with the nominations is we throw them all through this algorithm that just basically makes sure that they're like properly representing the Pixels community, like they're on Discord, they're playing the game, they're doing this, and it kind of just like removes the opportunity for a bot to come in and nominate someone like 1,000 times, right? So low key, throw them through that, and then there should be about 5 candidates usually. So official voting for mayor will happen probably at the beginning of next week or at the end of this week, hopefully, if we can get it in. And then, yeah, new mayor is coming. So stay tuned for that one. Okay.
Amazing.
Luke.
Okay, awesome. Number one, everybody is so well behaved in game right now in this theater. Did you see this? Everybody's like sitting in seats.
No, I love it. I'm gonna come down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand next to our mayor right now.
Everybody's like individually in a seat.
Yeah, so the original art for the theater was the seats were kind of like wrapped like this, and it was a little bit like trickier because of the collision boxes. You couldn't go into the seats, so Tyler came in and changed it all this way so that everyone could sit, and I just love it.
Yeah, very well behaved. You see some people like our previous mayor, they don't think they have to play by the rules, not sitting inside of a seat. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's always really fun to see that and see that behavior. I think the Pixels players are the most polite game players I've ever seen. You guys actually queue up. You guys follow rules like that. So yeah, that's super fun. I just wanted to point that out really quickly. Okay, it looks like we do have some feedback on the trivia potentially. Can we get a poll on who actually cares about trivia? So let's dive into that. Why do we do trivia, and what are we trying to achieve over the next month to month and a half while we get ready for our token, while we get ready for the next stages of what we're doing at Pixels? So for the next month, we're in like this interesting area where we have a backlog of content that's ready to release on the release of Pixel. If you guys have looked in our Discord, you might have seen people leaking pets because we have that already. It's like literally coded in our game engine. We have an NFT mint that we're ready. We have a big backlog of content ready once the Pixel token's out. And we made some decisions around that essentially to not release some of the content that we have ready right now because we want the Pixel token to go really well when we have that token out. We want things for the token to do. We want like players to be able to partake in it. So we've been saving some of the stuff we've been building for that moment. And we're also super excited for the gameplay that this token unlocks, where we're kind of moving towards different strategies when we're thinking about the long term of what we're trying to build here. Right now, the game that we've built is a fun game, but it's extremely content driven. So for you guys to engage inside of the game, for us to have more users, us as the Pixels team needs to continue to release new content, which is fine. We're totally willing to do that. But we're also looking for ways to introduce new strategies into our game that unlock content generation in a way that we don't have before. So the important thing that we're really trying to achieve here is to scale our content generation and to scale the systems that we can essentially provide engagement to our users. And for us, that looks like a couple of different things. That looks like our moves towards user-generated content. That looks like us, including AI into our content generation process. And that also looks like introducing new game mechanics, kind of built around skill, competition, or other elements that lead to better and stickier gameplay. So pets is one of those things that we're introducing that will lead to longer-term engagement and just more activation in game. But in the short term, while we're kind of holding off on that, we've been obviously making our first moves towards user-generated content. We just released our first user-generated content feature where you can introduce your own decorations into the game and start to build out that way. But we also need other things that can kind of hold our users over while we're prepping out this content. So trivia was a really interesting thing that we wanted to experiment with as we start to move towards introducing daily rewards into our ecosystem. That's one thing also that we're kind of missing right now as well. Like, can we start to use the power of Web3 to incentivize good ecosystem behavior? So next week, you should see a new update around a new rewards dashboard. This is kind of us getting a feeling of, okay, what are different reward structures that we can put into the game that incentivize things like daily logins, that incentivize daily engagement into the game. These are things that we need to be thinking about in the short to medium term. And especially as we're moving towards next stages with the Pixel token, with pets, all of that too. It's really important that we show people who are coming into the ecosystem that the community has high engagement. We actually are one of the most actively engaged communities in Web3. But we know that we need to continue to provide you guys content in order to keep engagement up. So we're in this interesting spot right now where in order to really hit it out of the park for the next steps, we need to find ways to engage you guys. And for us, that's a bunch of things like this. It's like trivia, it's like new quests, new content, and seeing different ways that our community can help provide the support too. Because obviously, you guys all want us to do well. Like, we all want to do well. It's a group effort and a team effort here. And this is kind of the approach we've gone to building. So yeah, things like this, trivia, we're going to start to experiment with more over the next month and a half as we're kind of, leading up to larger swaths of content. We want to invest more in UGC. I'm way too obsessed with AI generated content and what I can do there. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we're working on in the short to medium term. So I think we leaked pets in the last AMA. We'll leak more because they're getting cooler and cooler. And we haven't even really dived into exactly how they work. So that's something that we're debating too. It's like we're making conscious decisions right now to hold off releasing some content. But obviously, releasing more content now also drives the engagement that we need to get to like the better tiers of partners and the necessary things we need to do to release like an even bigger and better Pixel token launch. So we're actively keeping that in mind. If you guys have any ideas, let us know. Things that we can do in the short term to increase engagement with our users. I will say we have more and more lined up over the next month. We have a lot of partnerships that we've had that we've been working on in the back end that should start to increase activation inside of other communities. We've been given more interesting opportunities for interoperability with some really awesome partners as well too. What I can say is, the previous people who have been supporting us, they've been extremely excited by the engagement that you guys have been giving us over the last couple of months. And we're seeing even more support. So that's unlocking, more access for us to more interesting IP collabs and other areas like that as well too. So there is more in the backlog that we have prepped when it comes to interoperability. But now our whole team is focused just on thinking about ways that we can scale this essentially. So we have more coming on the release of the Pixel token, and we've been prepping a ton of content. But yeah, in the medium term too, we're really thinking about ways that we can scale that. In the short term, hacks like trivia, daily rewards, and other quests are what we're thinking about right now. So just note that the game as it is, we're thinking in like several different stages, right? We're thinking short, we're thinking medium, we're thinking long term, and we're making progress in all three of these areas. What you actually probably are seeing the least amount of progress in is just like short term thinking right now because we're so close to the next stages. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas or any things that you want to see in the game in the short term, let us know. Especially when it comes to like increasing engagement. Like we're thinking about things like offering like tournaments for harvesting things like pop berries or other things like that as well too. So there's stuff coming soon with that. But yeah, give us your ideas and we'll make it happen potentially too. Community is at the core of what we're doing, and obviously you guys have a great idea of what works.
Okay, let's pull up some other questions here. Why only Popberry leaderboard available? What about others? So we're just starting small. This is just the start. We're going to release more and more. So yeah, let us know which ones you want to see first. But yeah, more are coming for sure.
Yeah, so with this one, it's interesting because there's two types of ways that we can engage with our audience. There's targeting new users and there's engaging with old users. And one of the things that we want to do to short-term increase things like our DAU or our daily active wallets, start to target new users as well. So creating systems and reward structures that make it friendly for new users to come in and actually participate in the rewards is pretty important. So making sure that something like a Popberry is easily accessible by a new user, that's an interesting promotion that we can run over that as well too. But then what's interesting is the way that we built out the tech is these rewards that we can offer can be pretty varied, and that is scalable tech that we built out. That should be releasing next week, ideally. This new rewards dashboard and rewards structure. Essentially, what we can do is we can offer prize pools for different tasks, and the prize pools can be several different options. They can be first come, first serve. So essentially, we say, hey, we have 10,000 of this token available for this task. The first 1,000 each get this reward, or we could do prize pools that are split by everybody. So if we have a prize pool of like 10,000 tokens, we say, hey, this is open for a week. Whoever completes this, they'll split that prize pool. And we can do it for different tasks like, farming 1,000 pot berries or things like that. So we've been thinking about that kind of stuff a lot. Basically, can we create reward structures that incentivize, good behavior in the ecosystem? And for us right now in the short term, to have the best outcomes in the next month or so, DAU is probably the biggest driver of that. So creating structures that generate interest from newer casual players, or reactivating players who have played the game, logged in before, but maybe didn't have extremely long activation, is probably a higher impact than just creating a reward structure for users who are like very far in the game too. But then there's also a balance because you guys are probably the users who have progressed furthest through the game are also probably our most active and loyal users. And creating structures for you guys is also super important too. And then also creating incentives for players to progress through the game and really get through it is important too. So we're gonna be experimenting with all of that essentially. But yeah, we're probably gonna be doing both of those sides of things. So basically tasks targeted towards new users and then probably power users as well.
Okay. This was just like someone just asked, could you guys make a tutorial explaining what to do in game? I was so confused when I first joined. So I have two answers to this. First of all, just tutorial wise, all of that kind of stuff. We as a company haven't, just because we pivot and move so much. And also our community creates incredible content on their own. And so basically, like, there's so many different wikis and websites, and also just our Discord community is such a major resource for new players. My other thing I'm going to say to this is that we are well aware that our onboarding process could use some polishing and retouching. So that is something that we're actually been actively focusing on recently, is revamping our onboarding so that new players that are coming in understand the basic mechanics, what the goals of the game are, different things you can do and explore without feeling like overwhelmed and confused. So yeah.
Yeah, so I would say our onboarding is actually very weak right now. And when we're looking at the numbers, I've mapped out like all the different funnel conversions, like where we're dropping off users, all of that. There's like a few areas where we could definitely improve, and that is actually a big point of interest for us moving forward. It's just kind of like the only thing we've been wondering is like when we do that versus other areas. So our initial strategy was we wanted to optimize long tail retention first and then go back and optimize like day 1 to day 7 retention afterwards. Because we want to make sure that like the core mechanics of the game were fun, solid, and good. And we're at a good place where day 7, day 28, day 60 are actually pretty good. So now when we start to make improvements to our day 1 retention flow, which like there's one particular area in our onboarding flow. After you go to Barney's farm and then you're supposed to talk to Dale, we see a huge drop off. It's super confusing. But yeah, basically we're studying the numbers in all of this. We see the areas where there's the highest drop offs. And we know that this is actually probably a good lift to our goals, but it's kind of deciding like how big we should do this overhaul, because I think it actually should be quite significant. To understanding that, what's great about Web3 early on is that the Web3 users were pretty dedicated. Where, if you've played a game like Alien Worlds or anything like that, you literally need a tutorial just to figure out how to set up the blockchain stuff before you even play the game. We kind of used that as like our benchmark early on, where we knew people would put in a little bit of effort to learn how to play the game first. But now we know that that's actually like something we probably can't rely on as we're expanding to more of a casual audience. So it's time to start putting resources into that. But it's just like, when in the roadmap is it going to be? Is it going to be like this next week, or is it going to be like a month or two from now? And I'm kind of leaning towards in like a month or two, and actually getting some like more engagement oriented features out first.
Okay, this is a really good question that we've been getting in Discord often about the decoration builder that we just released. So Luke's already talked a lot about, UGC and our recent release. We can dive into a bit more. So we just released our first UGC kind of like content creator that you can like upload things that you create in our game. So it's a decoration builder. What's a decoration? I don't know, a chair, a bush, fun things like that. And we've seen some really cool things come in like within the 24 hours that it's been released. So we are reviewing them now. Keep in mind, only high quality uploads will be accepted in game, just because obviously we have a bar to reach of our quality of art in game. But you guys we've been really impressed. It's been amazing. So this is a question I've been getting a lot of. So when you're looking at pixel art, so our grid that we work on is on a 32 by 32 pixels grid. And the best way for you to visualize what that is a plot of soil is 32 by 32. So obviously there are objects in game that are bigger than that, and there are objects that are smaller, but use that as your frame of reference. So if you're trying to make a chair and you want it to be this like big grand chair, it's probably going to be bigger than 32 by 32, but it's not going to be like 1,000, right? Because it needs to fit within the game and look like it fits in the game. So just use that as a reference point. Pick up your mover, pick up an object, and I think you can see the grid a bit better that way. But yeah, as a basis, 32 by 32 is one block. It's one piece of soil patch. So
Yeah,
that's
one
reference
one
point.
easy thing that we could probably do for that, and the UGC is something that we released it in not the most polished way because we want to get feedback and see where we actually need to improve it more. Like one easy thing that we could do for that is probably give you like a reference of the character sprites so you can kind of put up the character next to an object. But yeah, some of the stuff is looking good, some of it not looking good. So how we kind of view UGC is we're looking at it in two ways, right? Where we're letting you put objects into the core Pixels game loop. And this one we need to be a bit more protective around. The other interesting thing that we're open to is letting you guys create your own worlds and maps, similar to how New Cyber did, similar to how Tastemakers did. And that we could be more flexible on. The previous product I worked on, we let people introduce their own art styles, and actually introduces some really interesting mechanics when you allow people to do that, where the games can actually look, or the games in the worlds can look pretty different stylistically, and that's something we're open to long term. And then the other thing too is, yeah, pixel art isn't the easiest to build out. Like really, this is a feature that's meant for more artists rather than like a casual user right now. And I know that artists are going to create some pretty interesting stuff. We're excited to see what that looks like and what that goes to. I'm really excited to see what guilds do. Like I'm expecting to see guilds make their own like items that kind of reflect their guilds. It probably makes sense for a guild to hire, or like there might be enough people in a guild where there just happens to be an artist in a guild. Typically, where a guild might want to hire an artist for like, they're not always that expensive. Like, pixel art can maybe take you like, an hour to do. A pixel art artist might make anywhere from like 25 to 50 bucks an hour. Might be worth it for a guild to, actually hire an artist to make like some really dope stuff around their guild and other areas like that too. So we're interested in seeing what that kind of looks like as well. In the long run, what I'm most interested in is seeing what AI can help you guys with in terms of prompt generation. If you guys, I'm so obsessed with this actually. I'll shout them out actually because I think they're up to some really cool stuff. And I've been following this team really closely and trying to work with them a bit. It's not quite ready, but look at here. Let me pull this up. Look at what AI generated content can do in like near future. So this is a team. They're building out scenario.com. Scenarios.
I'm playing with Scenario. It's cool.
Yeah. It's so Scenario is all about building out like AI assisted content basically. Specifically around the art. They have tools that go from like basically Midjourney or Stable Diffusion to pixel art. It's interesting because the pixel art tool that they have, it actually isn't really AI. This is just like essentially turning Midjourney or Stable Diffusion art into pixelated versions. There's some improvements that can be made in this tech. And maybe this is something that we want to own in the long run, an area like this, but the possibility of this essentially going from prompt to pixel art is the most interesting thing for us when it comes to UGC. And we think that's probably how we can help scale it so that you don't need as much art background to actually make interesting and good art, where if you literally just type in the prompt, helmet, and something like this comes up, like that's the interesting long-term future. But it's getting there. It's getting there for sure. So yeah, they basically have tools where you can create items, and the art, it's not quite production ready, and it might take a little bit of time to get there, but it's getting close in terms of all of this. And the more interesting thing too, and this might be something that we experiment with, is why we haven't introduced this yet is it doesn't match our art style. I haven't been able to get any AI model trained on our own art style and actually outputting art that looks good directly. But there might be something interesting where if AI generates all the art, it creates a consistent style. And that might be something that we look into, where if it does the tiles, it does all the objects, that kind of stuff, there might be something interesting there. But just know that we're going to very heavily experiment with this over the next few months. It might be just around the corner. But yeah, long run, if you're finding it really hard to make pixel art, we're kind of going to probably move in that direction.
Scenario is really cool though. I was playing a lot around with it a couple days ago, and I did actually post it in the Discord because we were like talking about it. I was able to make some pretty cool houses. So my focus was on houses. So I uploaded a bunch of our house art, and then I gave it 1,000 different parameters, and it came out with some pretty good stuff. Like it would definitely need a little bit of retouching from one of our artists, but I was like, okay. So yeah, the future of AI art generation is so exciting. So exciting.
And what it does for UGC, so I'm actually I think AI, Web3, and UGC all line up in like a perfect trifecta for this reason, where I see Web3 as the incentive layer that you can have to create UGC. So Web3 is extremely interesting in the way that you can essentially view any typical project like a network. And then it makes a ton of sense when you're thinking about UGC, where you're growing a content library, just like you would a network, with good incentive structures through tokens and through an ownership layer. And then in order to effectively create UGC, you need good tools, and AI links into that as well. And it also helps to deal with attribution, copyright claims, all of that as well too. To me, like this is the intersection that Web3, AI, and UGC all make a ton of sense, and like actually provide a ton of value and provide a really interesting look into the future of what game creation and all of this will look like. So it's super exciting to be kind of at the edge of this.
Yeah, no, totally. UGC and like creating your own okay, so like someone just wrote something really fun. Yeah, so TIFF is a huge guild in pixels, right? So if let's say you guys are going to throw a summer solstice party and you want to have some art or like giveaways or like some cool objects for that party, right? So like here's the opportunity. It's so much fun. I'm so excited. And then yeah, the future of interoperability potential, all of that, sky's the limit.
Yeah, so for like the TIFFs, the subway rats, like any community in there, like upload art, because yeah, that's the kind of stuff we really want to be seeing, and like we'll approve if it looks decent enough.
Pixel art is hard. People are noticing that now. Everyone's downloading the programs and they're like, I warned you. Okay, I want to hop back to a question we got a while back, just because I think it's something that a lot of people have been having top of mind. And I know you did talk about this a bit at the beginning, but I'm curious about the effects of the recent SEC ruling on the Pixel token release. Is there an updated target date? Are steps being taken to avoid Pixel token being labeled as a security?
Yeah, so obviously it does throw a wrench in some of the stuff that we're doing in terms of timelines, because everybody's just being a bit more cautious in the space. And you have to note that we can't control everything going on in the space. So for things like listing dates, all of that kind of stuff, a bit out of our hands. But I will say it looks like it's not as bad as we initially thought. Some of the stuff getting labeled, actually probably should be getting labeled, if I'm being completely honest. And yeah, at the end of the day too, we do think like consumers need some level of protection around some of the grift that's happening in Web3. And there's a lot of grift that's happening in Web3 if we're being honest with ourselves. So some of the moves that the SEC is making aren't surprising to me. But yeah, it also does affect certain partners that we're working with, obviously, and it affects some of those things. There's a bit out of our hands when it comes to timelines, but we're obviously going to be moving and accelerating it as much as we can. And then there's obviously vested interest in everybody that we're working with to move this along as well. So we're optimistic, but yeah, I can't give an exact date right now. So we're in the final stages of figuring that out. It looks like things will still chug along. But yeah, obviously there is a bit of risk in the air with some of the timelines. So we'll continue to be transparent around that. Again, what we really want for this token is to have the best possible launch too. So we also don't want to sacrifice on that side of things too, where we think it's probably better to wait for the better partners than it is to rush it out with like not the ideal partners, essentially, if that makes sense. So there's things there that we're thinking about and like very cautious about. So in terms of is there steps being taken to avoid the pixel token being labeled as a security? Like clear cut, like we're not a security. We have been very careful about that from the very beginning to not go down that route. I've always been anti-staking. I've always been anti-governance. I've always been anti-value accrual to a token for these reasons. The tokens that we're seeing getting labeled as securities, a lot of it is the value accrual mechanic that is going to the tokens where, yeah, I mean, those likely do fail the Howey test. The ones where if you hold a token, you get to stake it or use in governance and you get network revenue, operates a lot more like a stock in that way. The model that we like in terms of tokens is pure utility and thinking about them more like, an in-game currency in the same way that RuneScape or like World of Warcraft view their in-game currencies, where they're intended to be used in game. They're intended for in-game transactions, purchasing in-game items, or using them for in-game utility. And there's no value accrual in those tokens. There's nothing like that. But these tokens are really useful in game, and people want them for those reasons. So we've always viewed our token in the same way, and we still get really interesting value on our end in using a token in that way as well too. So yeah, we are being overly cautious when it comes to all of this side of things. I will say again, like it makes sense why some of these are getting targeted, but yeah, at the same time too, it might mean we have to rethink about how we operate in the US, and our team is quite on top of that.
All right. Okay, I noticed that you can no longer drop berry in the fountain. I didn't know that changed. Did you? I'm gonna go check.
No, maybe just a tiny bug.
Maybe it got reverted back, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure that will be updated soon. That was a fun little addition from one of our designers, so I'm sure he's sad that it's not there. Okay. Our pets this month.
So this is what I'm talking about when I say we have a content backlog. Like we could probably ship pets like next week if we wanted to. They're mostly ready, but we're saving them for the release of the Pixel token. We want content ready on day one of the Pixel token release, and we want you to be able to actually use the Pixel token in game. And pets will be the easiest way for us to do that. So the pets, we're really excited about them, and they're interesting because we're pretty confident we could be making a good amount of revenue on these pets if we were to do them in ETH or Matic or whatever other currency. But instead, we want to use the Pixel token for these pets because we think that's going to be the easiest way for us to make the Pixel token useful early on. So we're making an active decision to forego some direct revenue in order to make the Pixel token useful with that. So we want to hold off the pets until then, though. But yeah, it is painful to like hold them off because obviously that would be a great way to increase engagement in the short term. But also it's probably the best use case of the Pixel token. So it's trade-offs, right?
All right. I think we could get a lost and found NPC that collects all of the lost items from the mines, apiary, slug farms that get removed. So when someone owns a land and they have an industry on it, let's say the mine, okay, and you have gone to their land and you've placed your drill on it, and then the landowner moves the mine or removes it or something like that. Two things happen. Either you get your drill back when you go back to their land or you don't. The reason for not getting it is if you've used it a lot. I don't know the percentages offhand, but let's just say you've used a majority of its lifespan, you're going to lose it when they remove it. If you haven't used up majority of its lifespan, it will go back to your mailbox. So it's just kind of depending on how much you've used the drill if you get it back. As for what you're asking for, I'm sorry, but no, that I don't see that happening. Will we be able to own shops in Pixels?
Yeah, we talked. So this is what we were debating instead of a marketplace at first, actually. And what we actually decided instead was a game-wide marketplace. So we could do that. But yeah, when we were debating this, the team thought that the game-wide marketplace would probably be more useful. But there is something interesting about being able to go to somebody's farm and then purchase specific items there. It might organize the UGC better. So the cool thing about the UGC is you'll be able to mint UGC, and you'll actually be able to sell those items or decorations on the marketplace. So it costs 100K berry to mint 100 items right now. But then those are in-game items that you can actually sell on the marketplace or sell to other people. So there's some cool stuff with that, right? And there's some really interesting stuff that we can start to introduce then. Basically, how I view UGC is I kind of view it in parts, where the first stage will be these decorations, the second stage might be maps, the third stage might be game mechanics, and the fourth stage would be introducing economy. So how can we actually let you guys create your own economy in game? Kind of similar to how we, have the Berry economy, with whatever interoperable token that you want, or even built around Berry or Pixel as well. But to have that, you need some kind of scarcity. So okay, just he followed up on this question. But imagine an NFT shop in Terravilla. That would be cool. Yeah, that's interesting, right? So what's interesting is we now have enough users where we actually probably could be competitive to some things like OpenSea, or some things like, not that we want to compete against OpenSea, they invested in us. But we have enough of a user base now where if we want to start to capture some marketplace revenue or some like volume with like token swaps or things like that, we actually probably could. And that might be something that we think about when we're thinking about diversifying Pixel's revenue streams in the long run, where we could create a better UX that's like kind of built around our game to buy and sell NFTs. Instead, we could get some of that actual transaction revenue, and then it creates a really interesting aligned incentive for us where if we can help you guys sell assets, then we get a cut of that. It's pretty nice for us, right? So there's interesting stuff there where that actually creates other revenue streams like that actually benefit the ecosystem in a very positive way. It gives us more ability to build out game mechanics, gives us more ability to build out other things like that. And what's nice is those don't charge you, right? So that's revenue where we can start to build out more and more utility without having to like charge users for certain game mechanics or things like that.
What's the next building you are looking to add to North Terravilla? So I'm not sure to answer your specific question, but we've been talking a lot about Terravilla as a whole and like where we want to go with that. I'm not going to share any information on like possible decisions we've made because honestly, everything's hasn't been confirmed yet, so I don't want to share anything. But we've been talking a lot about it, so we'll see. We'll see. Ask me in a few weeks, maybe I'll have a better answer for you.
Too big, too confusing right now.
Would it be possible to make hats to wear as costumes? And I think he followed up with like the chicken head. So at the moment, no, it's only decorations. But in the future, it would be really cool to add, upload your own avatar, upload your own, so that
I'm much more interested in self-service NFT interoperability, where instead of having to go through our process of adding in like the NFT art and like us having to do it, I'm much more interested in like just allowing you guys to upload your own NFT art without having to go through us.
Any plans on adding more in-game activities that are more interactive? Nearly everything now is click a button and wait.
Exactly. So yes, 100%. And that's what I'm trying to push the team towards right now. To kind of think about, okay, right now we're in a content treadmill where in order to get more engagement in the game, we have to keep coming out with new items, new quests, things like that. Like I'm really pushing the team to start to think about ways that we can increase engagement and increase like ways to make the game more fun in like the 10x ways. So essentially like our approach is like I want us to start to take more bigger swings again. So like, coming up a bat and like just trying things out that might not work, but could potentially add like 10x improvements in gameplay, in interaction, all of that. So we're thinking a lot about interactivity and things that we can start to add onto even just farms. If you guys have ideas around this kind of stuff, please give us some ideas. Like one of the ideas I had was to start to add in new types of objects that you can place in your farms that introduce some kind of interactivity. So some things like, um, you step on an item and it teleports you 5 blocks to the right or 5 blocks to the left. Like interesting UGC like that we could start to build building blocks around. And then also anything that we add like that increases the engine's capability where we can start to introduce more content or more game mechanics that add into this kind of stuff as well too. So like I also had ideas of like adding like a pressure plate object where if you have a player stand on something, maybe it like opens a gate or something on your farm. So if you guys have ideas like that, like these are the kind of system changes that we're thinking about building in the next little bit, where we're super interested in feedback and creativity that you guys might have to offer.
I love this UGC mini games. I really want to build a donut shop where you interact through a mini game to make donuts. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the stages of UGC that we're thinking about, right? Where the first stage is things like these decorations. The second stage would be building out your own maps and worlds. We're going to call them realms, most likely. And then the third stage would be, adding interactivity through game mechanics. The previous, company that Pixels used to be was a virtual spaces company. So, we have a ton of experience, or at least I have a ton of experience on that virtual space tech. But yeah, the possibilities of that is interesting. What we found with virtual spaces is virtual spaces are great, but you need to give people interactivity. So essentially the rollout won't be probably instant of giving people interactivity or game mechanics on these virtual spaces. We'll probably open up that virtual space tech again in the short to medium term, and then start to add in, interactivity and game mechanics that you guys can offer your users in a very similar way to what we do. Like, again, the whole idea here is like the way that we can scale our content distribution will be the game changer for the actual engagement and interactivity in the game. If we don't have to be the ones that are making content and we can keep you guys engaged with UGC and all of that, like that's going to make the ecosystem the healthiest and the most engaged in the long run.
All right. I don't know what's going on over there. Sounds like a good time.
No idea.
When you're talking about realms, though, I just saw the second Spider-Verse movie yesterday. Have you seen the first one at least?
Yeah, the movie's amazing.
So amazing, so cool. It's like watching art for 2 hours straight. But yeah, when you're thinking of realms, like even think of that. I mean, I don't know how far we're going to push the art changing significantly, but there's just so much. There's so many opportunities there of like where you could go with it. So yeah, and go watch the movie. It's great. Okay. Is it possible to get some kind of daily foot traffic counter for lands? So like if I click the entry banner for my farm, it will show how many daily visitors the farm has seen.
I mean, yeah, that's an interesting like new, we call them nodes that we could potentially add. Yeah, that might be something interesting for sure. I mean, so I think the reason people want this kind of stuff is you guys are so generous. You guys want to create rewards for people that come on your land, typically is what I've seen, right? And that's what we want to incentivize and, help you guys do essentially. Like I know some people were running like maze races on their land. They would make mazes and get prizes for that kind of stuff. Like what we're really interested in is seeing, okay, how can we make this less manual on your end? Is there ways that we can help you automate it? So if you put up like a race course on your land and people complete it, can we help you like do that automatically? Things like that. So we're super interested in that kind of stuff. Basically helping you make mini games. So yeah, if you have ideas on that, more than happy to like, take that into consideration. This is the kind of stuff we're trying to brainstorm.
Okay. Next tournament. When next tournament?
The people want it. So we have a few things lined up actually, and that's the cool stuff. We love the idea of cross community tournaments. So there actually might be a couple things that we do. I would say in the next like, it depends on when one of them we're gonna ship is. There might be one ready in like the next 2 weeks. We'll probably do one just inside of our game engine with something simple like pop berries, and like a small prize pool as well. But we love the idea of these. We're gonna start doing more of these. You know, it's an interesting way in the short term to add competition to our game, and competition is always healthy and fun, as long as we make it fair.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of wrapping up questions. I know you guys have asked a few more questions, but we've answered most of the ones that you guys are asking already. So yeah, Luke, is there anything else you want to talk about? Any other questions I may have missed?
Yeah, so again, I'm super excited about getting that first UGC tool out. Please prove us right that you guys can make some cool stuff. And then we'll start to invest in this even more. And then yeah, in terms of token launch date, we'll update you all. Obviously there's been some turbulence with everything going on in the space with that, but it seems like it's all okay. So we'll keep you updated. We'll let you guys know, how that all wraps up. And when we have a date, obviously we're gonna go super hard on it, and let you guys know, what exactly that looks like. We have our own marketing campaigns that we've been saving for this as well too. What's great is we won't be catching up when we have that date. We have a bunch of stuff ready for it, so we're super excited about that. But yeah, there's just a few things we need to figure out and a few different key pieces that we need to organize until we can get that out. But yeah, we'll keep letting you know and keep updating you all. We appreciate the patience. And yeah, we're excited to get that out as much as you are.
Yeah. Okay. And just a reminder, we are going to be doing the summer solstice event. So if you are a part of a community and you want to throw an energy event over the next 2 weeks until the end of June, fill out the form. I'm going to be posting it in Discord, so make sure you're on our Discord. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what fun events you guys come up with and, whatever. So exciting. All right. And with that, we will see you guys next week.
All right. See y'all.
Guys.